According to the author Stephen Cook, the castle was redesigned to harness its anomalous attributes, where its power can be amplified for the use of necromancy, communicating with the dead, as well as with other extra-dimensional forces. Although most historians say that this aspect of the castle's history is extremely exaggerated, its redesign still clearly shows a dark occult aesthetic, especially in its main hall where a large black sun is depicted. So our question is, could this star be an ancient Middle Eastern demon the Germans were trying to commune with? It's the stuff of nightmares. The year was 2003, and in the heart of Europe, the documentarian Liz Whisker-Strauch interviewed survivors from across Germany who had unwillingly took part in a series of rituals partly conducted for the purpose of communing with a mystical power from the country's pagan past. One location where these ceremonies allegedly took place was in the 12th century fortress Wilhelmsburg Castle. This castle has a relationship with the occult that goes back centuries and a supernatural history that extends from the Antarctic to the Middle East. In 1939, this location was first rumored to be home to a series of bizarre occult activities perpetrated by the feared unit called the Protection Squadron, a unit made infamous by its symbol featuring 2 S's. While the fate for many of the prisoners held in camp across the country at that time was always going to be grim by default, there were rumors that some were also being presented as offerings to ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian demons from within the castle itself, as part of a goal to locate a lost ancient civilization that cannot be found on any modern map. From this castle, historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists were commissioned to travel across Europe and Asia, as well as Iraq, Iran, Tunisia, and Egypt, to locate anomalous artifacts with real supernatural powers that will not only allow them to rule the world, but completely redesign it in their image. What were these artifacts? How dangerous were they? And what was the ancient demon they wished to contact to help them to rule the world? In March 2016, a library of books on the occult assembled by Führer Himmler was discovered in a depot of the National Library near Prague that had not been accessed since the 1950s. This discovery seemingly confirmed rumors that during the 1940s, his party was heavily interested in the occult and various mystical and supernatural beliefs. According to historians, between 1935 and 1944, Himmler, an extremely evil yet powerful individual, assembled the Hexensondervertrag, meaning the Witch Special Order, with collecting archival material concerning the history of paganism across medieval Europe, collecting nearly 30,000 documents from various local and regional archives. Their ultimate purpose was to understand how his country's supernatural pagan roots were replaced with an Abrahamic belief system. His interest was heavily influenced by the writings of von List, a proponent of a form of Germanic neo-paganism known as Ariosophy. Himmler was fascinated with von List's concept of the Aryan genealogy and its supposed mystical qualities, and like the bad guys from a Marvel or Indiana Jones movie, he believed that in order to access and utilize this ancient power, communicating with extra-dimensional entities, and the acquiring of lost supernatural artifacts of pagan, Islamic, and Judeo or Christian origins was essential for his nation's victory. The most powerful of these artifacts from the Middle East and North Africa included the following: the Ark of the Covenant, the gold-covered wooden chest described in the Bible as the container for the stone 10 Commandments. According to tradition, the Ark has the power to level mountains, dry up seas, and cause plagues, while in Islam in particular, it's stated that a powerful anomalous human being known as the Mahdi will use it to battle evil near the end of days. Then there's the Holy Grail. This is an object that is said to have the power to heal any wound or illness, and to grant eternal youth and life. Some stories say that finding the Holy Grail would bring about the end of the world. Again, like in the movies, the Germans are said to have been obsessed with finding this object, and believe that it would give them the power to bring about a 1,000-year rulership. What's less spoken about though is the Spear of Destiny. This is allegedly an anomalous relic that is said to have been used to pierce the side of Prophet Jesus as he hung on the cross, and is currently under the ownership of the Vienna authorities. According to lore, whoever possesses the spear will hold the fate of the world in their hands and will be able to conquer any enemy. Beyond these biblical artifacts, and on the fringe edge of the Abrahamic faith, is the anomalous mineral known as the red mercury. According to Middle East tradition, this is an alchemical substance the ancient Egyptians used to bridge a gateway between our world and the world of the jinn, while also having the ability to create a type of nuclear fusion. According to medieval Arab alchemists, this mineral is a core component of the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance that the Germans were apparently also invested in finding. In addition to granting immortality, some traditions say that finding the Philosopher's Stone will bring about the end of days, while more recently, it's been theorized that its red mercury component could power a device known as the Die Glocke, an experiment bell-shaped machine allegedly developed by German scientists that could manipulate gravity, space, and even time. Other Middle Eastern relics they were allegedly attempting to acquire includes the original Eye of Ra, the original manuscripts for the Book of Revelations, and even one or more ancient Sumerian stargates from the deserts of Iraq. While it was obvious that the majority of Germany's leadership at the time likely did not believe that any of these artifacts were supernatural or even existed, a lot of time and resources were still poured into the effort to find them. Where would they have been kept? Well, the answer is Wewelsburg Castle, taking us back to the mystery of those extra-dimensional forces that required ritualistic practices to summon them. Nicknamed in modern times as the German Temple of Doom, the castle was thought by Himmler to have mystical powers surrounded by supernatural energy. From this location, he looked into pseudoscientific theories of Germanic history, medieval history, folklore, and genealogy, and established expeditions globally to examine the ancient myths of foreign cultures that could unlock clues to his nation's occult past, as well as retrieving the aforementioned ancient artifacts. To support this mission, he established the Anerbi, meaning the Bureau of Ancestral Heritage, who were also headquartered at Wewelsburg Castle, along with the Hexensonderfrage. This department was responsible for organizing global expeditions into the occult across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, with the ultimate, yet unexpected goal of locating the lost continent of Atlantis. Why was Atlantis so important? Because they believed that all of their answers concerning race, the supernatural, and the occult would be found there. According to the Anerbi, Atlantis was very likely a continent-sized island located in the North Atlantic, specifically where the Azores are. However, today in the 21st century, this lost city has now been linked to one of the Azores' neighbors, the Afro-Arabian country of Mauritania, home of the Richat structure. This 50-kilometer wide geological anomaly more or less matches Plato's description of Atlantis due to its concentric formation, becoming a better candidate for the lost city than the nearby Azores. Regardless, the Anerbi and the Hexensonderfrages believed that the Arayans somehow originated from Atlantis. However, after it was destroyed, its survivors migrated to Europe, Tibet, and the Middle East, where they eventually became responsible for the planet's greatest ancient civilizations, including those of Egypt and the ancient Persian empires. These locations are not only recognized as home to examples of incredible ancient technology and culture, but also home to a pantheon of mystical entities, demons, and personalities that, according to their mythologies, helped build these empires. Therefore, Himmler's goal was to bring back artifacts from these locations to Wurzburg, where he believed that he'll be able to use the castle's mystical energy to exploit these relics via magic and contact a powerful ancient demon. But who or what was this demon? According to the author Stephen Cook, the castle was redesigned to harness its anomalous attributes, where its power can be amplified for the use of necromancy, communicating with the dead, as well as with other extra-dimensional forces. Although most historians say that this aspect of the castle's history is extremely exaggerated, its redesign still clearly shows a dark occult aesthetic, especially in its main hall where a large black sun is depicted. So our question is, could this star be an ancient Middle Eastern demon the Germans were trying to commune with? While the origins of the black sun symbol is not entirely clear, some say it's a reference to hidden or secret sun, which scholars say was a concept of ancient cultures like the Egyptians believed in. This was a sun that was not visible to the human eye, but still a source of immense power and energy. This also happens to connect to alchemical symbology. In alchemy, the black sun represents the stage of change during the alchemical process, where an object moves from one form to another. Symbolically, the object becomes unveiled or unhidden. Therefore, the black sun theoretically symbolizes bringing light from darkness, or a rebirth. This idea corresponds with Himmler's ambition to remove Abrahamic monotheism from the world, which he viewed as a dark force, and usher in a new dawn where magic and witchcraft is the dominant religion. But this could also literally mean the unveiling of a demon. How? In alchemical symbology, the black sun may not only be a reference to our sun, but the planet Saturn. This planet was named after a Greco-Roman deity that has now become linked to the types of ceremonies Whisker-Strauch covered in her documentary at the beginning of this episode, where she interviewed young people who were presented as offerings to an ancient being on the castle's ground. This connection between Nyarlathotep and Greek myth is exemplified in the story where Saturn, otherwise known as Kronos, devours his own son. Furthermore, within Islam, occult lore states that Saturn is also another name of one of the 7 principal jinn kings. These are powerful ancient beings, rule over thousands and perhaps millions of jinn. The one associated with Saturn in particular is a terrifying entity named Maymun, like in alchemical symbology. He is the physical embodiment of what is secret and hidden, especially when it comes to wealth and ancient knowledge, and as explained in earlier episodes, sometimes the jinn may demand the body of a human to reveal this knowledge or be granted wealth and power. Now, could Himmler have been aware of these Greek and Arab associations the black sun symbols has to Saturn? Some historians allude to Greco-Roman influences playing a part in his occult understanding, but we're unsure as to how knowledgeable he was of ancient Arab demonology. Regardless, the fact remains that out of nearly 4,000 prisoners assigned to rebuild the castle in the 1940s, at least a third did not make it due to the harsh conditions and the treatment they experienced. Some could argue that those ancient deities Himmler believed in still received their sacrifices, regardless if he actually practiced any ritual activities there or not. In conclusion, while it was obvious that Himmler was as dangerous as he was deluded, we're left with a question of where did his delusions end and reality begin? As fascinating as a lot of his occult research was, It was still conducted for the primary purpose of supporting his country's imperialistic ambitions, which were evil at best. And in order to do this, he had to twist both established historical facts and widely held alternative beliefs regarding the supernatural to fit his dark worldview. But do you agree? Leave a comment below. We kinda had to tiptoe around the use of certain words, names, and events in this episode, as well as the dark activities they're associated with. But we hope it all still makes sense. Anyway, thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. And inshallah, we'll see you in the next one.